late. Nkem was the woman everyone in Umuchi noticed twice. Her skin glowed like she had bottled the sun, her presence turned chatter into hush. At St. Raphael's Parish, her voice rose during the choir like incense on a crisp harmattan morning. Mothers nudged their daughters, "Look, a woman of virtue." Fathers whispered to their sons, "If you find someone like Nkem, hold fast." At 22, Nkem was counting down to the happiest day of her life, her wedding to Obinna, a respected leader in the parish youth fellowship. The parishioners' eyes were on them, two young believers, visibly in love, the kind of couple that makes a community stand taller. Then, 2 months before the wedding, the ground shifted beneath her. Morning sickness. Bone-deep fatigue. A missed period. She knew the signs. Panic rose like floodwater. If the parish found out, the wedding would be halted. No priest would bless them. She saw it already: choir whispers, neighbors' pointed looks, the quiet loss of respect. She had been the parish's example. Now the truth threatened to snuff out the candle she had spent years tending. When she told Obinna, expecting a plan or a prayer, his face hardened. "Nkem, how could you be so careless?" he hissed. "Do you want to disgrace me? The wedding, my reputation, you won't drag it down." His words cut deeper than glass. She pleaded. He answered, colder, "End it. Before it starts to show." Young, frightened, cornered by shame, Nkem went to her closest friend, Amora. Amora listened, then slid a little silver packet from her purse. "One tablet," she whispered. "Just one. It will clear everything." Nkem's hands trembled. Her heart banged like a talking drum. She swallowed 2, desperation louder than caution, then waited for silence to fall inside her. Days passed. The symptoms vanished. No bleeding. No more nausea. She told herself it was over and picked up her life as if she had never teetered over an abyss. Weeks later, the grand wedding arrived. St. Raphael's overflowed. The choir sang until the rafters seemed to breathe. Nkem glided down the aisle in white, brilliant as a queen. People whispered blessings behind their hands. Even Obinna smiled like nothing had ever threatened their union. But secrets don't sleep forever. Barely a month into the marriage, the fatigue crept back. The morning nausea returned. Bloated belly. A small clinic test. The nurse looked up with gentle surprise. "Congratulations, madam. You're 3 months pregnant." 3 months. The child she believed she had ended was alive, steady, stubborn, growing in silence. She staggered out, winded by relief and fear. She confronted Amora, who shrugged with the laziness of someone untouched by consequence. "It always works. Maybe you took it wrong. Anyway, you're already married." People clapped. "Move on, please." Nkem couldn't argue. She blew away like dust. At home, she told Obinna. He hugged her, whispered, "Thank God. At least it didn't spoil our wedding." He was relieved. She stood stiff in his arms, a heaviness unfurling. Shadows don't disappear, they wait. Months rolled. Nkem's belly rose and ripened. Every Sunday she still sang, smile fixed, heart not thinned by fear. What kind of child was she carrying after those tablets? Labor tore through her like a storm. The midwives exchanged wary glances before placing a baby in her arms. His limbs were twisted, his neck bent wrong, his cries were thin, breathless threats. Obinna looked once, jaw tight, and turned away. That night, while neighbors rejoiced for a child they hadn't seen, Nkem and Obinna sat in a stunned, airless quiet. The blessing they had begged to hide was now a burden they didn't know how to lift. They named him Somto. A few days later, Nkem returned to the hospital, hands shaking. Dr. Okeke, a seasoned physician with tired, kind eyes, listened. "Doctor, why is my baby different?" "Many causes," he said, voice steady. "But commonly, certain drugs taken in pregnancy can alter how a child forms." The words pierced. Amora's packet flashed in Nkem's mind. She did not confess, confession would tear open everything. "And the scan," she whispered. This sort should often be caught, Dr. Okeke said, puzzled. The fact it wasn't, troubling. To Nkem, the diagnosis had already leapt beyond medicine. It felt like a verdict from heaven. In Umuchi, whispers are swift. Did you see the child? No ordinary matter. Maybe she offended God. Obina's shop, once lively, cooled, customers drifted elsewhere. Laughter traveled behind him like a rumor. At home, nights were ripped by Somto's cries. Obina grew brittle. The love that had shielded them began to crack, quietly, relentlessly. Nkem hid the boy. At first, she wrapped him in cloth and slipped outside like he was any baby. But the older he grew, the more his body twisted, his head grew large, his eyes bulged, his nose lengthened oddly. The word stare burned. She stopped taking him out. The house became a small, sealed universe. Obina, whose tenderness flowed freely for others, became a hard shoreline where Somto was concerned. When Oloido, Ola, was born a few years later, healthy and bright, Obina's love poured like rain. For Somto he had little more than silence. Nkem felt the weight settle fully on her shoulders, feeding, cleaning, soothing, hiding, and watching every helper flee after a week. Exhaustion fermented into something sour. One afternoon, Amora visited. Nkem's pain spilled out, the screams, the care, the shame, the loneliness. Amora shifted, bored. You're stressing yourself for nothing, she said. If it were me, I'd have taken care of that thing long ago. The words froze midair. Take care hung like smoke. That night, Nkem lay awake, the phrase drumming. She treated Ola tenderly in the morning, sang to her. With Somto, her patience had thinned to a thread. That evening she did something she had never done, locked Somto in the windowless back room. His cry changed in the dark, it wasn't a child's cry anymore. She flinched, then pretended not to hear. It was easy. That was the terrible discovery, how easy it was. They slipped into a colder routine. The locked door became a habit, first hours, then nights. Peace, that cheap kind, settled like dust. Obina didn't ask questions, love for Ola filled the house like light from a single narrow window. Nkem rehearsed lies in the mirror. They snatched him at the market. I fainted, when I woke, he was gone. She practiced tears until they obeyed. At the scrubby plantain grove behind their compound, she began to dig. Each day the pit widened. She covered it with leaves before anyone noticed. By the fourth day, it was deep enough to swallow secrets. Then Obina packed a small bag. I'm off to Ikagbala market to buy goods, he said. Back in a few days. The door closed. Silence filled the house like an invitation. Poison. Suspicious. Suffocation. Too neat. Night after night she weighed the methods like stones. On the second night, she slipped sleeping tablets into Somto's pap. Later, she wrapped his frail body in cloth, slid him into a black sack, and stepped into the dark. The plantain leaves gave way to the pit's open mouth. She dropped the sack. A dull thud. A stone, lifted high, held down. She shoveled the earth back in, pressed it hard with her palms, arranged the leaves. She washed her hands until the skin stung. The house felt quiet. The quiet frightened her. By dawn she had her story ready. She tied Ola to her back, stumbled to the gate, and screamed for the world. My Somto. They took my Somto. Neighbors rushed. Men sprinted toward the main road. Women lifted their hands to heaven. The police arrived, siren screams squeezed the morning. Flyers bloomed across Umuchi. Candlelight flickered as prayers rose into the evening. The world hunted for a child who lay under plantain leaves. Obina returned the next day. The silence in the house swallowed him. When Nkem told him Somto was gone, his legs gave way. My son, he sobbed. My only son, gone. Nkem had expected indifference. Relief, even. Instead, grief broke out of him like a flood. He wept for all the times he had looked away. He swore aloud to search every path, to sleep nowhere until the boy was found. Nkem's breath shortened. She stared at him. Had she made the worst mistake of all? Inspector Chaik, known in Umochi Division for a sharp eye and a stubborn conscience, took the case. He moved house to house with a notepad that missed nothing. "Did you see the boy often?" he asked. "Hardly," one neighbor said. "We sometimes wondered if he was still alive." Another at the junction, 3 years I've lived here. Saw him once, strange looking. Then never again. On social media, Inspector Chaik scrolled through Nkem's photos. Ola everywhere. Cakes, dresses, selfies, church events. Not a single sign of Somto. It was as though the internet had erased him. Back at the house, he sat across from Nkem. "Madam, why didn't anyone see your son?" Tears gathered in her lashes. "Somto, he has a severe neurological condition. Children ran when they saw him. I kept him indoors and cared for him. I did my best." Chaik nodded, eyes narrowing. "If you really took him out, where were you taking him the day he was kidnapped?" The words slapped the room. Nkem froze. "My nanny stopped working. I needed to buy something at the market. I couldn't leave him alone." "I see," he said softly, closing his notebook, without closing the question. That night, in plain clothes, Chaik walked the perimeter of the estate. The plantain grove behind the compound tugged at his instincts. He slipped in. Leaf side underfoot. A figure appeared, a hooded jacket, quick eyes. The person knelt and dug, breathing fast, then covered the spot again and left. Chaik waited, heart steady, then pushed a broken branch into the soft earth. Shovel by shovel, the smell rose, wet rot and flies. His stick struck stone. Then something black, plastic, half buried. He pulled. The stench shoved him backward. Flies burst like dark confetti. He swallowed hard, cut open the nylon, and unwrapped a dirty cloth. A tiny arm. A twisted leg. A small face, familiar and still. Somto. Chaik said nothing. He went to Nkem's compound that afternoon, face calm. "We are spreading the search beyond Umochi," he told her gently. "We'll find him." Nkem's shoulders loosened a fraction. Relief flickered. Chaik watched the flicker and fired it away. That night, Nkem returned to the grove with a flashlight. She didn't trust Chaik. His eyes had asked questions she couldn't answer. She clawed into the pit to move the body. Her hand met nothing. No nylon. No cloth. No bones. She dug faster until her nails screamed. The pit was empty. The smell lingered like a ghost, but the boy was gone. Her stomach fell. Had someone exhumed him? Had the inspector already found the grave? Fear unspooled until morning. 14. The gate and the van. With Obinna off to his shop, Nkem hauled clothes into a box, hands shaking, wrappers, shoes, Ola's feeding bottles. She booked a ride. The driver called, "Madam, I'm at your gate." She swung the gate open and stopped. A police van idled there like a period at the end of a sentence. Inspector Chaik stood beside it. "Going somewhere, madam?" he asked madly. My mother is sick," she stammered. "Strange," he said, tilting his head. "Your husband didn't mention it. Or does he not know?" The trolley slipped from her fingers. The truth, at last, offered no place to run. "Please come with us to the station," Chaik said. Another officer stepped into the gap behind her. She crumpled. "Please," she cried, voice spilling. "Please forgive me. I only wanted peace. I only wanted my life back. I didn't mean to." But meaning had no power to raise the dead. At the station, Obinna arrived, confused, pacing. He listened as Nkem spoke in pieces that cut: the tablets, the fear, the shame, the nights, the pit, the stone. "You should have told me," he choked. "I was wrong. I was ashamed too. But, not this. Never this." His grief echoed against the tire. Nkem's chains rattled. The truth had finally come out into the light, and the light was not gentle. Moral lessons. 1. Silence multiplies suffering. When shame seals our mouths, pain ferments. If Nkem and Obinna had sought help early, medical counsel, spiritual counsel, community support, their burden could have been shared and seen, not hidden and weaponized. 2. Love is a verb, not a posture. A parent's calling is to protect the vulnerable, not the family's image. A partner's calling is to stand beside, not step back into pride. Image management is not leadership, compassion is. 3. Communities must be safe for difference. Children with disabilities deserve visibility, dignity, and proactive inclusion at home, at church, at school, online. When a community treats difference like a stain, families hide, and hiding can turn dangerous. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you in my next story.